All right, a very good morning once again. Welcome back to Urban Today. My name is Henry Sekanjako, and of course we're coming into this second and last segment of Urban Today. Today is a World Stroke Day, and of course, like we have already indicated, 1 in 4 of us will have a stroke. It accounts for 3.7% of all admissions in Uganda's hospitals. Of course, and stroke is the second leading cause of death, and it's the third cause of disability globally. And of course, to talk more about this, I've been joined by Dr. Ibrahim Bukenya, who is the MD at Stroke Rehabilitation Center, Uganda. Good morning, Doctor.
Good morning, sir.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
All right, today's World Stroke Day.
Yes.
And many Ugandans, of course, would want to know what stroke is.
Generally, in simple terms, stroke is a brain injury that occurs as a result of interruption of blood flow to the brain cells.
Okay.
This one can be caused by either blockage of a blood vessel, taking the blood to the brain, or the blood vessel can even burst and blood splashes over the brain cells, and the person gets one half of the body paralyzed.
Sure.
Yes.
How big is this problem in Uganda?
In Uganda, the statistics are still scanty, and it's my appeal to the government and the Ministry of Health to invest into the research of stroke cases in Uganda. However, according to the Stroke Foundation Uganda, the annual statistics we made in 2019 to 2020, we had recorded 325 stroke survivors. But during the pandemic, despite the transport challenges, we registered 90 survivors, of which 49 were male and 41 were female, though there were transport challenges. So that one shows that there was an escalating number during the pandemic from April to August. Yes.
I want you to tell us more how stroke comes about. How does it happen? What are the symptoms for them to know that they have a stroke?
Basically, stroke has indicators. It doesn't just occur at once sometimes. You'll find that we need to know some signs. For example, I'd like our viewers to master 5 words. Be fast. B stands for balance. When you find that you are standing and you are staggering and you can't maintain stable stability,
Sure.
that means that you are at a danger of suffering a stroke. As long as you lose balance and yet you are not a drunkard, that shows that you are losing balance. Letter E stands for eyes. What happens to the eyes? You can start develop blood vision or double vision, or you don't see clear things, or you see mist. That shows that you are going to develop a stroke anytime if you don't take care. Then we go to letter F. F stands for, again, our face. When you observe your face, you look at the mouth. Is your mouth still proportional? You might find that your mouth has turned and is facing maybe one side, or it's facing the neighbor. In the past, people used to talk to people like that, sometimes to point at people. When your mouth turns from one side of the face, that shows that you are going to get a stroke. Your nose can also turn. Your eyes can stop blinking. Every 2 seconds, a normal person is supposed to be blinking.
Does the face turn before you get it, or it turns after you have gotten the stroke?
No. Those are signs you see.
Okay.
These are checking signs you have to see before you get a stroke. These are indicators that a stroke might be coming. They happen to so many people, yet we don't know. Are you still able to raise your elbows when you look at your face? Can you remove your elbows? For example, are you able to remove your elbows? Yeah, they are moving. So that's really, that's good. So that is F. When you go to A stands for the arm. Your arm might lose strength. You might fail to raise it. You might fail to grip, be it maybe you are eating. You might fail to even hold a fork or a cup of tea. That shows that you are going to get a stroke. They come slowly by slowly. Then S stands for speech. You find that you have been speaking like I'm speaking, and then you develop slurred speech. The moment you develop slurred speech or you get difficulty in speaking, that shows that you're going to suffer stroke in time. And the letter T is just a critical time that now you are at an emergency, you need to be rushed, or you rush yourself to the nearby health center to help you recover, restore what is happening, because they come slowly and then they go on increasing. There are also other signs that will know which will not happen. You can start vomiting without unknown cause. You can develop intense headache, which cannot respond to any nature of painkiller. And the doctors check and there's nothing they can see. That one can also indicate that you're going to suffer stroke. So you need an emergency attention.
All right.
Yes.
Who is at risk of getting a stroke?
Basically, the more you grow, once you pass the age of 35 and above, in Uganda you are at a risk. However, stroke attacks from babies up to the elderly. Mainly babies who have sickle cell are at a risk, and then the adults who are inactive and who have other ailments, they're at a risk.
Okay, and if I get a stroke, at what point should I go to hospital?
If you get a stroke?
Or if I see the
actually, what I would like to say...
Because I imagine some people, you know, take it, some people don't take it serious. So they'll be like, maybe it's something else, I'll be fine.
Yeah, actually, that's why there's a World Stroke Day, to sensitize people about stroke. Usually, we have myths about stroke. One thing we know about stroke is that maybe it is as a result of witchcraft, or it is just a bad omen, or someone didn't go to dig on their graveyard, or didn't go for burial ceremonies. That's why it's getting this. Or it's a curse. Yet, this is not a true thing. Stroke is a medical emergency. The moment you see those signs we've talked about, go to the nearby health center as soon as you can. If you're already paralyzed, tell someone to help you. Or the government can also put standby ambulances and hotlines to help these people, because it's a medical emergency. And the more time lost, it's the more brain cell lost. That means that you are going to suffer more disabilities if you take long to reach the hospital. Yeah, so in case someone sees those signs, let the person be rushed to the primary hospital to get the first line treatment before he goes for another secondary treatment.
All right. Do people, you know, heal from, you know, these emergencies, a stroke?
As long
and what
as
are the chances of one recovering?
The chances are high, as long as you are rushed very fast. If you are rushed between 1 hour and 24 hours to the hospital and you get the treatment, there's high chances of getting better and full recovery. But the challenge is that you find that when someone gets a stroke, will be first whisked to maybe to a shrine, or maybe to go to the drug shop, they give some simple medicine, and yet the thing is growing, and find that more damage is occurring in the brain. And then by the time they reach to the primary hospital where they can manage, there's nothing they can do much. Rather than restoring what has been causing the stroke, and then a person goes for secondary treatment, which is rehabilitation, such that the part which has been paralyzed can be restored. Because you find that when you suffer stroke, you suffer so many problems.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to talk about, you know, how serious this problem is by telling us the number of emergencies that you get on a daily at your center.
At the center, we really don't get emergencies because we handle secondary management. But there are instances like last year we got 3 cases. We got a case which was rushed from Arua. We got another case which was rushed, which was coming from Masaka, and another one was coming from Mbale, because it's a Stroke Foundation Uganda. So when people saw stroke, they say that they must rush there. But we still lack the primary treatment unit at the center. So you find that when they were rushed, we had nothing much to do for them. But again, we had to look for another ambulance to rush them back to the main hospital, which is Mulago, so that they can get the attention. Yes.
Talking about treatment, how many centers do we have? Do we have enough to, you know, for people where they can go for treatment?
Apart from the national referral hospitals, but centers are still lacking in our country. Because, for example, when you look at now Stroke Foundation Uganda, it's the only center in Uganda, and it's advocating for stroke survivors in the country to see that they live a better and fulfilling life, rather than whisking people to their graveyard. Because in the past, when people suffered a stroke, what they could do, they could say that it's easier to transport a live person than a dead person. So they take you faster to the graveyard, so that when you die, they don't suffer so much. And yet when they take you there, people used not to die. They used to stay there. By God's grace, they stay alive and then they don't die. So that's why Stroke Foundation Uganda came in, to see that it fights and advocates for stroke survivors, and also spread the information about stroke, so that these survivors can live again, and helps also the attendants. Yes.
Let's talk about the treatment. How cheap or expensive is it for one to treat a stroke?
Stroke, I must say stroke is very expensive to manage. It's an expensive disease or condition. And before we go to the expense, it's first of all an embarrassing disease, because it deprives you of your privacy. Because when you suffer stroke, you become like a baby. You have to be helped, you have to be in Pampers, you have to be assisted to go to the toilet, you have to be fed, you have to be planned for everything. So you look at the cost of buying a pamper. One diaper, I think it costs around 40 or I think 80,000.
Yeah,
Yes, a pack, and it has only 8 pieces. You find that a person has to use 2, so it's a lot. You have to hire a nurse to take care of you, to turn you in bed because you can't turn. You have to hire specialists to teach you speaking, to take you through strengthening exercises, to teach you walk, and you have not put on the medications. So it's really costly, and we are appealing to all Ugandans to see that they manage prevention than treatment. It's very expensive to treat the stroke.
Of course, you've had, treatment is very expensive, and I wanted to understand what really happens there. How do you manage these people, the victims?
For example, we call them survivors.
Survivors,
yes. These survivors, when they come, they have finished the primary treatment. They have been discharged from the hospital. They had tubes. They are unable to help themselves. So we enroll them under what we call rehabilitation therapy. And rehabilitation therapy is a mode of treatment which is organized with several disciplines. You find that this person will be assessed and then design the program which can suit the person. This person will be enrolled under physiotherapy, strengthen the parts which have been weakened. Then we have to engage the occupational therapy skills to see that the person learns activities. For example, when we were with the director, the ED of Yuri, had promised and delivered machines which can help to skill these survivors, either they learn again to continue depending on themselves. They gave machines, weaving machines, so that they can assist to recover on the functional abilities of this person who have suffered a stroke. So those are activities which are involved in occupational therapy. Those who have lost speech, we have to take them through speech and language therapy. Those who have psychosocial problems, we have to engage the counselors to talk to them. However, during that treatment, or when the survivor is at the center, is not sick like the caregivers. The family members are more sick than the patient. So usually after that session, we have also to engage the family members. They go through also psychosocial support. You have to tell them how to handle the patient and assure
Because
them.
I imagine most of them that suffer breadwinners in their homes, they're the fathers. So
in most of them, yes. So we have to ensure that the family members are also included in the rehabilitation package, so that their mind is already trained how to handle the patient, how to handle the survivor, and also to respect the patient. Because you find that most of the time when the breadwinner is maybe the person who's affected, you find that the family now, what we will think of, what are you going to do? What can we sell to see that we manage the case?
That's true.
And this one can escalate the problem of the patient. Yes.
How long does it take for one to recover from a stroke?
One to recover when you suffer stroke, it depends on the level of damage that happened to your brain. Some people can take a month, some people can take 2, some people take 6, some people take a year, others take even 5 years. The level of damage and the time you spend to reach the hospital and the management you get, that's what happens.
Okay, and of course, they said prevention is better than cure. And I would want you to tell us, how can one prevent a stroke?
Simply, one can prevent a stroke by basically going for regular medical checkups. It is a poor routine we have in Uganda. But I encourage and I appeal to all Ugandans, and I tell them this one I know. Go to any hospital, any medical center near you. Check for your blood pressure. Blood pressure is for free. Not everything that that you can get from the hospitals for money. Blood pressures are measured for free. Just walk in, tell them that you want to be checked on your blood pressure. They will check you for free.
Is it one of the major causes?
Yes. When you don't check for when you have high blood pressure, you get a stroke. So when you don't check for your blood pressure, you fail to know whether it's high or very low, so that you can prevent yourself from suffering a stroke. Go and test for your diabetes. How are your sugar levels? Are they beyond normal or are they below normal? So it helps you to control yourself. Go and check for your cholesterol levels. Cholesterol levels, these are fats which are moving in our blood. When I talk about cholesterol, cholesterol does not depend on the size of the person. The person might be smaller than I am, and you find that it has a lot of high cholesterol. And when you have high cholesterol, they will clog your vessels, and then blood will not move properly through to the brain.
Okay.
So you'll get insufficient blood flow, and then you suffer stroke.
All right.
So check for your heart diseases. Now we have also other lifestyle conditions we do, and then we get stroke. For example, smoking. When you smoke, there's nicotine. Nicotine will affect the functioning, will constrict the vessels, and then it narrows them so that the blood which is flowing there, it is little. So you can leave smoking. Those who are consuming alcohol, they have to drink responsibly, or even they can stop drinking alcohol, because you can increase toxicity when you take too much of that. Then obesity. You have always to go and check for your normal body mass index. For example, if you are a man, if you have a belly, a pot belly, you are at a risk. Anytime you can suffer stroke. Because one thing that now we are seeing, that people who have pot bellies, they are at a risk of suffering diabetes, and they are at risk of suffering a stroke, because usually there is a way fats usually generate there inside.
Brains, yeah.
Yes. Then lack of activities. We are so busy, like now in the corporate world, we don't have any time. All the time we have to move on a border, we have to move on a car, and yet it's advisable that if someone does exercises every day for 20 minutes, can reduce the risk of suffering a stroke.
All right.
Yes. Then unhealthy eating. Yes, we should
People
eat.
eating pizza and all that.
No. It's not pizza all day. It's not meat every day. It's not chicken every day. Let us eat a balanced diet and know what to eat. If you have a plate of food, take half of it. Take vegetables. A quarter of it, take your meat. A quarter of it, take your food. We need more leafy foods than these other foods we eat.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, you're still watching Urban TV. My name is Henry Sekanjako. And in the studio, I'm with Dr. Ibrahim Bukenya. He's the MD, Managing Director at the Stroke Rehabilitation Center, Uganda. And we're talking about stroke. Today happens to be the World Stroke Day. And you can join us on our socials. That's Urban Television on Facebook, Urban TV Uganda on Twitter, Seka Henry on all platforms. And share your thoughts with us, what you think about this disease. You can also call us and be part of the conversation. All right, Doctor, how is this disease categorized? Are there types, or we just look at it in general stroke?
There are generally two types of stroke.
Okay.
There are generally two types of stroke, or basically the major ones are two, but also there could be three, because there's what we call a tear. Okay. When you just see the checking signs. You just see your face turning one side and then it disappears. That one is called a transischemic attack. It's just coming and disappears. Even your hand can go off for 1 hour or 2 hours and then it comes back and you get normal. But that one is like someone who's going to do pre-mock or pre-exams, showing that danger is coming anytime.
Okay.
Yes. So we have a second stroke called anischemic stroke, whereby the blood will be blocked. Okay. This one, you know, gradually you go on weakening, face, the arm, the leg, and then eventually you stop walking. That one is an ischemic stroke. Then we have the third type, which is hemorrhagic stroke, whereby you find that they'll just tell you that someone has a collapse in the bathroom. You might find that the blood has already busted in the brain, and blood is pouring in the brain, and the person just drops down. So that one is an hemorrhagic stroke. So we have the ischemic stroke, we have the ischemic stroke, and we have the hemorrhagic stroke.
Of the two, which one is the most dangerous one?
Of the two, the most dangerous one is the hemorrhagic stroke, because you can die. However, it's the one which has, again, the high rate of recovery when you recover. You recover with less disabilities. Yes. The ischemic, it comes slowly, but again, it's very funny, but that it will leave you with high levels of disability, because the way it comes slowly, and you can't even ignore them. Yes.
Let's talk about the challenges that you face in this sector as people who are fighting, this disease. What are the major challenges that you face?
The major challenges fighting this disease is that we still lack information about stroke. We still lack the national survey data about stroke, because when you don't have the data, that means you can't plan very well. We still lack standby ambulances to whisk people to medical centers, the old national referral hospitals. And we still lack, as a country, there's still need of a primary care treatment for stroke. It requires a primary care treatment. Yes, so those are the challenges.
And have you tried to engage government about this policy and all that?
We are still dialoguing with the ministry. We are still dialoguing with the ministry and the UNCDA to see that at least they push this such that the country like Uganda can have an emergency care unit for stroke, because everyone is at a risk of suffering a stroke.
Why is it taking government so long? Is it expensive to acquire, equipment for treatment of the disease?
I think it needs just to streamline.
Because you put up a center, you know how expensive it is.
It is,
but you find it is cheap, but government is just not willing to put up a center.
No, everything goes about research. That center was formed as a result of the research which was done to bridge up the gap. Uganda didn't have a rehabilitation center. And the Stroke Rehabilitation Center is one of its kind in Uganda. And Stroke Foundation Uganda is also one of its kind in Uganda, advocating for stroke survivors, advocating for the betterment of stroke survivors, to see that they are reintegrated again back to the community, to answer the challenges they go through after even suffering a stroke.
Okay. What are the chances of one getting back to their feet after suffering from a stroke?
The chances.
Can they really start? Because some people say that when you get a stroke, that's the end of it. You cannot go back to work. That's the end of it.
No, actually, the chances are that when you suffer a stroke, you can recover up to 50%, depending on the time you reach the hospital, and also the willpower you have to recover, and how you see yourself after this effect. It also benefits you. Because when you lose hope, that means you are going to take long to recover. Or if the damage was too much, you are going to take long to recover. For example, we had a lady who was giving birth. Yesterday we received a case. It was terrible. A lady was giving birth and suffered a stroke. After suffering a stroke, was attended to, taken home. By the time they brought the lady suffered a stroke in March. And then was brought yesterday. But the bone, it seems it was fixed already. Now the leg is twisted. We have a challenge. So we had now again to refer the person to a orthopedic surgeon to first work on them. So the time you spend to get the primary treatment and the secondary treatment matters a lot for your recovery to get back
All right.
to your legs.
And of course, doctor, as we wind up this discussion, someone just sent me a message asking whether a stroke is painful.
Stroke is very painful and embarrassing.
Okay.
Because if you have no privacy, there's nothing hurting like having no privacy.
I know.
Someone who has to take you to toilet, someone who has to change your diaper.
That's true.
How painful can you explain that when you are an adult?
It's very disturbing.
Yes, it's really disturbing.
All right.
Yeah.
Of course, doctor, our time is fast spent. As we wind up, I wanted you to, tell the viewers on what they can do, to prevent getting a stroke, because most Ugandans, at least, they don't want to work out. And I think that's one of the things that Ugandans can do very cheap to avoid this kind of sickness.
As today we mark the World Stroke Day, we join the rest of the world. Our theme is that join the movement. 1 in 4 adults will suffer a stroke, but being active can reduce your risk. So meaning that each of us, what you can do today, try to dance, try to walk. At least the World Stroke Organization is encouraging each corporate organization, staffs, to have like maybe a simple dance for the staff, because we have a busy schedule. At least when you dance, when you have some activities you can do, it can help you. Yes.
All right. And okay, there's a question here also on social media. Someone is asking, is telling me to stop eating this other special meat that is stroke attributed to eating certain meat, kind of meat, and then I avoid
all red meat. That's like I said that we were not supposed to eat meat every day. Manage your diet. Eat more leafy foods. It helps you.
Sure.
Yes.
All right. You've heard it from Dr. Bukenya. Let's watch what we're eating and then be active. Work out. At least he said that 20 minutes a day.
At least 20 minutes a day is enough for you. Right. Check for your blood pressure. Check for your diabetes. Check for your cholesterol. it helps you to reduce your risk.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Doctor,
You're
for
welcome.
having spare time for us.
Thank you very much.
And I
too.
wish you a happy Stroke Day.
Thank you.
Thanks so very much. Keep it urban. We'll be coming back with the Financial Reporting Awards. Keep it urban.